Imagine a region where water, a vital resource, is harder to find than a bottle of Coca-Cola. It seems surreal, doesn't it? However, this is the reality faced by many in Chiapas, Mexico. The overwhelming presence of Coca-Cola has not only transformed cultural traditions, but also triggered a public health crisis and a struggle for natural resources. How can such an iconic brand be at the center of such intense controversy? The answer may surprise you and challenge your beliefs about corporate power and its consequences. Get ready to explore a story of resistance, where the community rises against a giant, seeking justice and sustainability. And who knows, you might discover that the solution to this dilemma is closer than you think. Coca-Cola, with its robust marketing strategy and effective distribution, has managed to deeply infiltrate Mexican culture, becoming almost omnipresent. Just imagine, the beverage is so ingrained in local traditions that it is common to see it in family celebrations and even in religious rituals. This approach not only increased the brand's visibility, but also made Mexico the largest per capita consumer of soft drinks in the world. In some regions, consumption exceeds 2 liters per person daily, which is impressive. It's as if Coca-Cola has become an honorary member of every Mexican family, always present at tables and in conversations. This market penetration did not happen by chance. Coca-Cola invested heavily in advertising, using everything from TV commercials to cultural event sponsorships. The brand positioned itself as a symbol of modernity and happiness, something everyone wants to have around. A practical example of this is how Coca-Cola associated itself with sports events, sponsoring local football teams and creating campaigns that resonate with national pride. This not only boosts sales, but also strengthens the emotional connection with consumers who come to see the brand as part of their cultural identity. However, this commercial success story has its nuances. While Coca-Cola celebrates its market dominance, the consequences of this rampant consumption begin to appear. Public health becomes a growing concern, but that's a topic for later. For now, it's worth reflecting on how a brand can become so influential as to shape the habits and traditions of an entire country. And, of course, how this can impact personal finances and local businesses, which find themselves forced to compete with a global giant. In Chiapas, the presence of Coca-Cola has brought significant changes, some of them quite concerning. The company, upon establishing its operations in the region, began extracting large quantities of water for the production of its products. This created an imbalance in access to drinking water for local residents, who began to face difficulties in meeting their basic needs. Just imagine, while Coca-Cola continues to produce its beverages, communities struggle to access such an essential resource as water. It's a situation that challenges the logic of sustainable business and raises important ethical questions. The alteration of local traditions is another side effect of Coca-Cola's presence in Chiapas. The beverage, which has become an integral part of celebrations and rituals, began to replace ancient cultural practices. For example, in some religious ceremonies, Coca-Cola is used instead of traditional drinks, demonstrating how deeply the brand has rooted itself in local culture. This change is not just symbolic. It reflects a deeper transformation in the social and cultural dynamics of the region. It's as if Coca-Cola has become a new kind of tradition, shaping the cultural identity of Chiapas in unexpected ways. However, the water issue remains a critical point. While Coca-Cola maintains its extraction rights, local residents organize to seek solutions. The situation in Chiapas is a clear example of how commercial interests can conflict with community needs. And as we will see, this tension does not go unnoticed, generating a resistance movement that seeks to reverse this situation. But that's a story for the next chapter, where the people's voice begins to rise against corporate practices. In Chiapas, the excessive consumption of sugary drinks, such as Coca-Cola, has triggered an alarming public health crisis. The region reports high rates of diabetes and other sugar-related diseases, significantly affecting the quality of life of its residents. It is concerning to note that, in some communities, even infants are introduced to soft drinks, replacing breast milk or infant formulas. This not only contributes to childhood obesity, but also to malnutrition, creating a health paradox that challenges conventional logic. The situation in Chiapas serves as a warning about the dangers of rampant consumption of sugary drinks. The consequences are visible and tangible, with entire families facing health problems that could be avoided with simple changes in dietary habits. A practical example would be the introduction of nutritional education programs in schools, encouraging the consumption of water and natural foods. Additionally, awareness campaigns could help reverse this trend, promoting healthier and more sustainable choices for future generations. However, change is not easy, especially when facing a giant like Coca-Cola, which has the resources and influence to shape consumer behaviors. The health crisis in Chiapas is a reminder that business decisions have real and lasting impacts on communities. As we explore local reactions to the situation, we will see how resistance begins to take shape, with residents coming together to challenge the status quo and seek a healthier future for their families. In response to Coca-Cola's negative impact in Chiapas, the local population has begun to mobilize, organizing protests and petitions to revoke the company's water extraction rights. These movements are driven by a desire to protect natural resources and preserve local culture, which has been threatened by the brand's overwhelming presence. Imagine the scene. Residents of all ages coming together in peaceful marches, carrying signs calling for justice and sustainability. It is a powerful example of how the community can unite to face seemingly insurmountable challenges. Despite efforts, change has been slow. Coca-Cola, in response to criticism, removed some billboards associating the brand with indigenous culture, but this is just a small step on a long and complicated path. The local resistance, however, is undeterred. They continue to push for more actions, seeking not only the removal of advertising, but also the review of water usage rights. This is a clear example of how persistence and unity can bring about change, even when facing corporate giants. The struggle in Chiapas is a reminder that the people's voice has power, especially when it comes to protecting what is most precious, their resources and cultural identity. As resistance gains strength, it also inspires other communities to question corporate practices that do not respect the balance between business and sustainability. And so, the story continues, with the focus turning to the complex political relationships that sustain this dynamic. Coca-Cola's influence in the Mexican political scene is an intriguing example of how business and politics can intertwine in a complex manner. The company has close ties with the government, with former employees holding political positions and vice versa. This symbiotic relationship has facilitated the obtaining of favorable water usage rights and tax exemptions, even in the face of policies aimed at reducing soft drink consumption, such as the sugary drinks tax implemented in 2014. It's almost as if Coca-Cola has a seat at the political decision-making table, shaping policies that directly affect its interests. The soda tax, although it reduced sales by 7%, was not enough to weaken Coca-Cola's position in the Mexican market. The company continues to thrive, partly due to its ability to navigate political complexities and ensure that its operations are not significantly impacted. This raises questions about fairness and transparency in the relationships between large corporations and governments. After all, how can we ensure that public policies truly serve the common good when private interests have so much influence? This political dynamic is a reminder that corporate power can extend beyond the market, influencing decisions that affect millions of people. As we explore these relationships, it is important to consider how they shape the future of communities and the country itself. And so, the story continues, with the promise that awareness and collective action can eventually balance this power dynamic. At the end of this journey, the question remains, what can you do with all this knowledge? Are we ready to question the impact of large corporations on our lives and communities? Think about how you can become an agent of change, whether by supporting local initiatives or rethinking your consumption habits. And speaking of changes, how about watching the video, The Truth About Bed Bath? It might further open your eyes to the complexities of the business world. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it with friends, and activate notifications. After all, continuous learning is the key to a more conscious and sustainable future.